Well, since Putin killed COVID when he invaded Ukraine, it looks like our betters had to find a new disease to scare us all about. I haven't talked about this for a couple days because I've been waiting to see if it would fade. It seems that it's going to accelerate. I don't know if it will ever get to the point to where we were at with the Wu flu back in March of 2020. Very early on with that, I was concerned about it. I thought it would be a big deal before, you had the media making a big deal out of it, but it seems like the media is starting out with this monkeypox, monkey flu issue, and really going all in on it from the start. And so this feels very different, from the early days of COVID, in which the media was constantly downplaying the risks. They were saying, oh my God, and the establishment was saying, oh, it's anti-Chinese racism if you think that this is a scary disease that you should be afraid of. We're not hearing anything like that today. What we're hearing is the media throwing this out there, saying, hey, look, there's this monkeypox. Somebody in Massachusetts has it. A bunch of people in Spain have it. A bunch of people in these other countries have it. And I don't think that the fear-mongering's off the charts yet. Nothing compared to what we saw throughout, 2020, 2021, and early 2022 even. But we did have that report about the U.S. government buying, however many millions or billions of dollars worth of smallpox/monkeypox vaccines. And I don't know how deadly monkeypox is. I should have looked into that. It's kind of an important point. But smallpox certainly is a very, very scary disease. I guess that they're similar. I don't think that the monkeypox is as bad of a disease. I don't think it has the same mortality rate as smallpox. But then again, it doesn't really matter. It didn't matter that the Wu flu ended up having a very low mortality rate, all things considered, especially if you were, not a million years old. And they still use that to do all their fear-mongering and all of their, violations of civil liberties and declarations of medical martial law. And so here we are with the monkeypox. And do we have anything to fear from it? Maybe I'm too optimistic. Maybe it's hard to call the normalcy bias, because at this point, the normalcy bias, I would think, would push you in the direction of thinking, yep, they're going to lock us down. They're going to make us all take the monkey jab. If you test positive for the monkey flu, you'll be ostracized from society. People will think, oh my gosh, what did you do to deserve that? You must be a bad person. You must not have worn your mask. But being the optimist that I am, and any longtime listeners of this channel knows just how optimistic I am about everything, I am not too worried about this, as far as about the state being able to crack down the way that they did at the start of March of 2020 and over that summer. Now, in some places that continued well all the way through 2020 and into 2021 and even into this year, perhaps. But where I live, that was really it was the summer, or the late spring, early summer of 2020. That was all we had to deal with. And so definitely where I am, I don't think that there will be any kind of change to my life. I don't think that we will see, restrictions being put back in place. I don't think we'll see, 80% of people wearing their face masks. I don't think you can replicate all that. You can't replicate that same kind of hysteria now with a couple months after the last hysteria ended, because Ukraine is what did it. People, their attention span is short. They only have so much bandwidth to commit to outrage, and for 2 years they were outraged about the Wu flu. Now they're outraged about Ukraine for a little while. I don't think that they'll be outraged about it for 2 years, but they're outraged about Ukraine right now. So everybody's pretty much forgotten about the Wu flu. Now you're introducing this monkeypox thing? Unless you bury the Ukraine story, which, in some countries that is already happening in the West. I think that the headlines, the best headlines for Ukraine are behind us at this point. Things are only going to get worse for them, as I see it. I think at this point, it's as clear as it ever could be that the Ruskies are not leaving. They're raising the Russian flag where they go. They will annex those territories. And so, I don't know. I feel like the Ukraine story in the West has run its course. I mean, yes, technically the government is still there. They still exist. There is, uh, a regime in Kiev. And so I guess there is, as long as that's true, you can have more of these $40 billion bills, these $40 billion grift bills that are just about laundering money to the military-industrial complex and do absolutely nothing to help the people there. And so I think that they probably could milk some more out of this for a while, because just going right back to now, from the Wu flu to the monkey flu, it's too soon. It'll come across as too disingenuous. I don't think people will go for it. It will just be a joke. And think about it, the infrastructure for a lot of the alternative experts to the official opinion, it's already in place. The Alex Berensons of the world, the Peter McCulloughs, I guess you can't say his name on YouTube. Well, anyway, I'm a small channel, nobody will notice, but who else? Oh gosh, I forgot his name. The guy who says, I invented mRNA vaccines. I forget his name. Malone. All these people, Harvey Reich, I think was another one. These people are all around. If they want to throw out a bunch of BS about monkey flu, people who are on the dissident side of that equation know what experts to go to try and find out the truth about what is going on with the monkey flu. And people who, were woken up about the Wu flu aren't all of a sudden going to go back to sleep about the monkey flu. So you're starting with a smaller pool of people that you can even try to fool at this point, because the only people who can be fooled at all about the monkey flu are the people who were fooled about the Wu flu and never woke up. The people who woke up about the Wu flu will not be fooled again. And so you're not going to convince 100% of whatever the population is that you're trying to convince. So it will be some subset of that. It will be, we'll have a very low ceiling for the amount of people who will buy into monkey flu hysteria. And so I'm not worried about this turning into something more than it already is. I mean, Ebola, which is a frightening, terrifying disease, never really led to anything in this country. People did not, set their hair on fire. They did not run around and cry and, beg for forgiveness. They went about their lives, and eventually Ebola faded from the news. But what will not fade, I don't think, is the bear market that we entered for a few hours today in the S&P 500. I didn't want to make this the main story because we did technically close out of bear market territory. It was very disappointing for me. It was lay old 3:30 p.m. ramp. It's been a while since we've gotten a completely, straight up spike in the last half hour of trading, really the last 40 minutes of trading. This used to happen quite a bit a few years ago. It was always very suspicious. Stocks just suddenly got much cheaper in the last 30 minutes of trading today. Everybody decided, you know what, that's a good price. I'm gonna bid that up, and then we would somehow ramp green. I mean, we ramped green by like 0.01%. I think it was half a point or 1 point on the S&P. And it's pretty clear why. I think that there were powers that be who did not want the look of the S&P closing at a bear market on the lows of the day going into a weekend. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible setup. It would set up a catastrophic Monday, a Black Monday, some people might even say. But if you're able to ramp green in the last 30 minutes of trading, erase all those losses, then you can say, oh, look, well, we closed the week on a high note. We closed green. And so not only does today go down as not the day that the S&P 500 closed in a bear market on a Friday, it goes down as a positive day for stocks. So you got some nibblers, you got some people who were, I guess I wouldn't even necessarily call it short covering, but buyers who came in, who saw, okay, the S&P's in a bear market, barely in bear market territory, that's a good price. You know, willing to buy the S&P or these stocks at this price. You know, it's kind of just another indication of how, you know, the index price matters much more than the underlying stocks. People aren't really looking at the underlying stocks. They're saying, oh, the S&P's in a bear market. I think I'll go buy the S&P, like the S&P is a stock in and of itself. And so the S&P was bid up out of a bear market. Now, if that is an appropriate price in the market and people think that, okay, yeah, the fair price for the S&P 500 is not in bear market territory, well, then on Monday it won't crash back into bear market territory, which I believe was 38.55. We got as low as down 20.6% by my math. That was the lowest that I saw today. I think actually, I know I'm pretty certain it went lower, or maybe that was the low of the day. I can't remember which I calculated, but I calculated one of them, and the lowest that I saw today was the S&P down 20.6%. So definitely in bear market territory. And it was down there all day. It did not look like it was coming back. But then, of course, you have the magical 3:30 p.m. ramp. Today, after all, is risk-free Friday. So, I mean, for the S&P to enter a bear market on risk-free Friday, that'd just be criminal. So we ramped green, and here we are. Wall Street can go home this weekend to their villas, you know, in the Hamptons. It is summertime after all. It's nice and warm out for them, even though it's ungodly, you know, hot where I am. But out in the Hamptons, I'm sure it's nice and cool and breezy, and they can maybe roll up their sleeve to their elbow or something like that. They can, instead of wearing their vests, they can tie it around their neck and wear it like a cape because they are super brokers. So, with that said, I will see you folks back here. Tomorrow I might be busy, so maybe Sunday, but I'll try for tomorrow.